So, what you're about to listen to is the full version of episode 30 of Éist. Éist is one of the many shows that come out exclusively to Learn Irish Online members, so all the other 29 versions are behind the paywall, but I thought I'd put one up for free here on the Gaeilge Weekly feed, just in case anybody who's learning the language might want to have a look at some of the stuff we do over on patreon.com/learnirishonline. Éist is one of our many shows. In Éist, what we do essentially is take 2 clips every week from different speakers, different dialects, different levels of Irish, different shows, different podcasts or whatever. We listen to them and then we break them down line by line and listen to exactly what's going on. Not only what's being said, but why it's being said in the way it is. There's loads more shows available like that, such as Arís, which is a similar thing, just going through news articles, and a gastro and topic breakdowns, available to Learn Irish Online members for €7 a month over on Patreon. The link will be down below anyway, and there's also a free trial, so if you want to listen to all the other 29 Éist, you can do it absolutely free of charge for a week. But listen to this one, see if you like it, and hopefully you'll be able to learn a few things. This week we were looking at 2 clips of Connemara or Connacht Irish, specifically from the Coisharga region. Hope you enjoy. See you next week for Gaeilge Weekly as usual. Hey guys, welcome back to Éist Arís. Today we're going to be listening to 2 more clips, and there are going to be 2 clips of Connemara or Connacht speakers, specifically from very close to where I'm from, which is essentially the Coisharga region. So both these clips are actually taken from the same episode and the same part of an episode of a show by the name of Pobal Coisharga, which is available on the TG Gaffer player, and I'd really recommend it, guys, if you're trying to get better at understanding Connacht Irish. Within Connacht or Connemara Irish, you have a few subdialects. Probably one of the ones that's a bit easier to understand is essentially the subdialect that I have, which is kind of Coisharga, South Connemara, let's say. So you're looking at areas from Barna, Furbo, Spiddle, Invern, all the way to Rossaville. The Irish from the Aran Islands, as well as the Irish from Carrow and Letsamore, can be a bit more challenging, but Coisharga is normally nice and neutral and quite soft, and for most people a bit easier to understand, and pretty much everyone in Pobal Coisharga has Coisharga or Connemara Irish, though slightly different types even within that. So it's a really good show. I'd recommend it. It's a good show in general, never mind even the Irish side of it, and that's what you want to be, I suppose, watching and consuming the stuff you would watch and like anyway, and it just so happens to be in Irish. That always should be our goal, in my opinion anyway, in terms of the kind of content and stuff that we're consuming, whether it's reading or watching or listening to as Gaeilge. So this episode, or this part of the episode, which again the link will be down below if you want to watch the full episode or the full series, this part of the episode focuses on a yoga class that does happen every week in Spiddle, on Spiddale. We're going to be hearing from the yoga instructor in clip number 2 today, but in clip number 1 we're going to be hearing from 2 women who took part in the yoga class on the beach. They're just sitting up in the sauna above the beach afterwards, and they're going to be talking a bit about, I suppose, themselves, what they do, and the yoga, and how much they enjoy basically coming out to it every week. We're going to hear 2 speakers in this. The first one is going to be a bit easier than the second one, so just try and get as much as you can. As always, I'll just play it once, but please listen to it several times, guys. And if you have the time, I know a lot of people are driving or walking or running or whatever when they're listening, but if you have the time to sit down when you're listening to Éist, pen and paper, listen to it 4 or 5 times on each clip, or however many times you feel like you want to, and try and write down any ideas or anything you think that might be involved. So let's get started. The 2 girls up in the sauna after the class, talking about how they felt about it and how much they enjoy it.
Jenna mé an sport a freisin triathlon agus ré agus ag snóh ach tá yoga ionach just le haid intí agus an curp le haid coformaíocht agus solúhacht agus rudí mar sin bín tú níos láidir taréis agus ré le haid éon rud a dhéanamh.
Agus freisin na bhean an hecht suas an seo agus a seo dhéanamh breanach ar an mhairige agus an síomhnas atá an bhfuil na servicí se an chuin teach.
Okay, and two little tips for you there, stuff that will almost definitely be new, guys, is slúpacht, which is flexibility, and also síomhnas, which is just a different pronunciation of súvnas. Okay, súvnas meaning peace, basically. Tome RÍOMHPHOST, I'm at ease. So I'm at peace, I'm at ease, whatever it might be, but in this case just súvnas or síomhnas, as you pronounce it by itself, for peace. So, after you've listened to that a few times, guys, let's do the breakdown bit by bit.
Jenna Mail on sport.
So, Jen and May Alon Sport. I think we've Ella there at the end as well that I just cut off. So, what she says is all fairly standard stuff. There's nothing too kind of Connemara about it. I suppose one thing there is saying the Jane and May instead of the Janum, and in general in Connemara or Connacht Irish, I'll kind of use those terms interchangeably. Let's just say Connemara Irish for the rest of this show. So in Connemara Irish, you'll tend to get very little fusion. It won't be Janum, it'll be Jane and May. It won't be Capum, it'll be Cap and May. Again, if you're learning, unless you're particularly tied to one of the three dialects, feel free to mix and match. It's not an issue at all. That's how a lot of people who learn the language nowadays speak it. So Jen and May alon sportella. I do a lot of other sports.
Jen and May alon sportella freshen.
Freshen. So also.
The freshen triathlon agus gré agus ag snov.
Triathlon agus ré agus ag snov. So triathlon, running and swimming.
Ach tá yoga íntacht just.
Ach tá yoga híntacht. So, but today is great. Ach tá yoga híntacht.
Agus ag snov ach tá yoga íntacht just haime inchina.
Just lahima inchin. So inchin is going to come up, I think, in both clips today, once or twice. So basically just for my mind. So inkin would be brain, but inchin is mind. Okay, just lahima inchin, just for my mind. Again, just one of the many words that's not translated. And I suppose in Connemara Irish in general, you get more English and more words that even though there is a translation for it, I mean, in the case of just, there's no real word for it. But a lot of words in Connemara just aren't translated. So Sásta, for example, is rarely translated. Most people just say Tommy happy or Tommy excited, Marhample instead of Tommy or Bish. Okay, so you'll get that in Connemara Irish quite a bit as well, which makes it easier, I suppose, to understand in many ways. Agus my curp and my body. So it's just great. Today's great. Lahime inchin. Again, lahai always for, so for my mind and for my body. My curp.
Lahai koframiocht.
Lahai koframiocht might be a new word, guys. Koframiocht is balance. Any type of balance. Could be physical balance, or it could be work-life balance, anything like that. So kofram meaning even, koframiocht balance. Agus salupacht. So again, that's a word that might be new. S-O-L-U followed B T-H-A-C-H-T meaning flexibility.
Agus salupacht. Agus ruddy mar sin.
Agus ruddy mar sin, great way of ending a sentence. You hear people use it all the time. I'm sure we've had it in a lot of episodes of Éist Arís and things like that and so on. Another way of doing it is agus mar sinja, which is basically and etc. Well, I suppose you wouldn't say and etc. You just say etc.
Ruddy mar sin and bín tú níos láidir.
Bín tú níos láidir. Bín tú níos láidir really should be bín tú níos láidre, but not a big deal. And again, you know, that should act as encouragement for you guys here. You have a fully fluent speaker who, one thing I didn't mention, you know, the difference in between the two speakers here, between her and who we're about to hear in a few seconds, I suppose is a good example of, you know, you hear in her accent with the speaker number one, who we're listening to now, is more so someone who would have grown up there and because of growing up there has a very high level, but probably didn't speak it at home. Probably isn't a native speaker, let's say, but is still, you know, fully fluent. And you see she might make small mistakes here like níos láidir and forgetting to change it to end with, well, but even native speakers make mistakes, yet alone people who've learned it as the second language. So should act as inspiration for you guys. I know I'm always saying you have to do this, you have to do this, make sure you don't do it like this, but you don't have to get everything right. You can make mistakes and still be a fluent speaker, no problem at all. I make mistakes on Gaeilge Weekly all the time.
And bín tú níos láidir tar éis.
So you do be stronger with taréis after.
Tú níos láidir tar éis agus ré lahai ein rud a dhéanamh.
Agus ré lahai ein rud a dhéanamh, or you could have ré chun ein rud a dhéanamh as well, ready to do anything.
Ré lahai ein rud a dhéanamh.
Okay, so now we're listening more so to someone who, you know, is from there and also would be a native speaker. And you hear that in the blast, we call it, in the accent, or the kind of flavour to her voice.
Agus freshen a bheith an hecht sos.
Agus freshen a bheith an agus freisin bheith an ann, so also to be able in ann the same as ábalta, so also to be able.
Agus freisin bheith an hecht suas an seo.
Hacht sús an seo, same thing as teacht sús an seo. Okay, so you know, when you're not inverting something, when it's not onabar dhéanamh, you just have the verb in the infinitive with no noun suffering, such as here, also to be able to come up here. You don't have to put the A and therefore the subsequent H in, but you can if you want. So you can say a teacht instead of teacht. So freisin bheith an a teacht sús an seo to be able to come up here.
Hecht suas an seo, agus é seo dhéanamh.
Agus é seo dhéanamh. So that's very fast. You know, the first speaker would have probably said agus é seo dhéanamh. She says é seo dhéanamh. Agus é seo dhéanamh. Okay, so that's where it's a bit trickier. But é seo dhéanamh to do this. So to be able to come up here and to be able to do this.
Suas an seo, agus é seo dhéanamh.
And you hear there with the dhéanamh, guys, it's the U sound at the end. So if you think geographically, Munster, Connacht, Ulster, the main three dialects, that's one of the big things that essentially, you don't even need to think about it in terms of kind of a three dialect thing, but think about in terms of just on a spectrum, going from north to south, that the more south you are, so the more kind of Munster Irish you're listening to, essentially you're going to have closed consonant sounds at the end of words. So a good example, again, Janu versus Janov. So you're going to have the Janov, you're going to have the V sound at the end. All MH and BH combinations really are going to be pronounced with a V sound. Even something like very good in Munster is going to be on a va instead of on a wa. In Ulster, it's the opposite. It's always going to be that kind of W sound. So on a wa, ag Janu, but even taking it to the extreme, even words like hand will be lau instead of love. Okay, Connacht is kind of somewhere in between the two. So for example, I would say love, a V sound, a closed sound at the end of hand, but then normally for do, I'll say Janu. Sometimes when I'm teaching, my Irish becomes more standardized and I might say Jana from time to time, but in general I'll say Janu. So Connacht is kind of in between the two. He uses some of the, so it's not that he uses some of the Munster pronunciation, some of the Ulster, it's just that some of it matches up or is similar to the Ulster one, some of it is similar to the Ulster one. You know, in Connacht you'll generally get vowel sounds at the ends of verbs, so it won't be husig me, it'll be hussy me. It won't be eranig, it'll be erani. Things like that, okay? But it's, you know, think of it geographically kind of in between the two. Geographically it's in between the two in terms of certain things like that, in terms of the rules, okay?
Yeah, agus é seo dhéanamh breanúach.
Tudig branu gama, or tudig branu amach, I should say, tudig branu amach. So you're looking out. Remember, branu again, used a bit more in Connacht, but it's not specific to Connacht. Essentially the same as ag vacant, so looking or watching. So tudig branu amach, you're looking out.
Dhéanamh breanúach. An warga.
An warga, you're looking out basically on the or to the sea. Okay, so farga for sea, it's feminine, so it'll be on arga, but here it's air on, because bratnu needs the air. In the same way fake would, you know, to make vacant air on telefish, to make bratnu or totic bratnu, air on, that forces the uru on an F is a BH, totic bratnu or an warga, with the W sound. Okay, same with niakame, but on waka too.
An warga, agus an sívness atá an.
Agus an sívness atá an, and the peace that there is, basically. Okay, and the peace that there is.
Within the service seo an.
Agus within the service seo an, and that these services are there, basically, or that these services are here.
Gwyn,
Gwyn. And Gwyn, all that is, guys, is essentially, you know, the dumb, ditch, all those kind of duh forms, just the H being added to it. Okay? And that kind of takes away the U father sound. So Gwyn is just for us, or to us, in the same way, you know, you'll hear it with geogwitch, again, putting the H in, so it's not ditch, it's gwitch. Okay?
Service seo an. Gwyn.
So that these services are there for us.
Ítach.
Tá sé gihintach. It's great. Great all together. Okay, let's listen to that full clip one more time, guys, before moving on to clip number 2.
Jenna mail on sport at a freshen triathlon agus ré agus ag snóv ach tá yoga ítach just haim intí agus an curp le hai coframíocht agus solúvacht agus rudí mar sin bín tú níos láidir taréis agus ré le hai éon rudí dhéanamh.
Agus freisin na bheith an hecht suas an seo, agus é seo dhéanamh breanúach. An warga, agus an sívness atá an. Within the service seo an. Gwyn, ítach.
Great stuff. As always, guys, any questions about that clip or the clip we're going to listen to, just leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So clip number 2, we're going to be hearing from the actual instructor of that class that they had just gone through, called Quillen, and she is going to be speaking a bit about the type of yoga she teaches, called Vinyasa yoga. Okay, that's essentially about it. So she's setting up on the beach for the class and she's talking a little bit about this type of Vinyasa yoga and what is involved with it, essentially. Okay, so when you're ready, guys, have a few listens. I'll play it once for you now and see what you can get.
So is stíl faoi le é an stíl Vinyasa yoga. Bhíonn glúiseachtaí agus an ionál ag gobar le chéile. So is cinál daos é in áide leis an glúiseacht agus an ionál. Lift the heart and the chest. Tá go leor buntáistí ban leis an yoga híh an chorp agus an intin agus an anam. Láidríonn an yoga chorps ó híh sa lúpacht agus láidracht ó híh na matán. Ach freisin láidracht ó híh an intin agus an anam. Both hands above head. So I could be in where this táhachtaí faoin ócáid seo, gohfuil an spás agan a bheith imá faoin air sa dúlra agus is seisiintach é chun na háisina seo úsáid chun.
Okay, we'll just leave it there. Na háisina seo úsáid. So a bit of a longer clip there, guys. In terms of Irish, again, you hear more of the blasts, more of the kind of native speaker accent, but because she's a bit younger than maybe the speaker at the end of clip number 1, it's a tiny bit easier. So maybe somewhere in between kind of speaker number 1 and speaker number 2 from clip number 1 in terms of difficulty. But that's going to depend again on, you know, what you're used to and what words happen to come up there as well. Okay, so let's go down and just break this down bit by bit, starting with Istíl.
So is stíl faoi le é an stíl Vinyasa yoga.
Is stíl faoi le é an stíl Vinyasa yoga. So faoi le we covered recently, I think, on an episode of Líofacht. We said it's the same as le, just meaning unique or distinctive. So is stíl faoi le é, it's a distinctive or kind of unique or specific style. But then we're naming the thing afterwards. So if we go back to our classic example we've covered a lot of times before, you know, if I'm saying he is a footballer, it's Pellador A. If I'm saying Messi is a footballer, I just add Messi at the end. I keep the A there. So it's Pellador A Messi, it's Pellador A Ronaldo, whatever. The exact same concept here. Is stíl faoi le é Vinyasa yoga or whatever she's going to add on.
On stíl Vinyasa yoga.
On stíl Vinyasa yoga. So the Vinyasa yoga style is a specific or certain style.
Bhíonn glúiseachtaí agus an ionál ag gobar le chéile.
Bhíonn glúiseachtaí agus ionál ag gobar le chéile. Glúiseachtaí agus ionál ag gobar le chéile. So glúiseachtaí is just movements. As if you think of glúisteán, that for a car, that's where it comes from. Okay, the verb glúis, to kind of move or change location in some way. Hey, bhíonn glúiseachtaí agus ionál is just breath. So basically the breath and movements being the gobar le chéile, they work together. Again, she's using being here because it's something that happens habitually instead of thought.
Agus an ionál ag gobar le chéile. So is cinál daos é in áide.
Is cinál daos é in áire. So it's a kind of dance in reality or really. Okay, so really it's a kind of dance. Again, cinál, very good word, such as size or sort, essentially for kind or type, can be used in both ways. On cinál yoga showed this type of yoga, but also just as the filler word of tomé cinál tuirseach, on kind of tired as well.
Ag gobar le chéile. So is cinál daos é in áide.
And you really hear the Connemara accent there on the ináire. Okay, ináire at the end.
Leis an glúiseacht agus an ionál.
Leis an glúiseacht agus an ionál. So again, it's kind of dance really with between the movements and the breath.
Lift the heart and the chest. Tá go leor buntáistí ban.
Tá go leor buntáistí. Buntáiste is going to be advantage. So tá go leor buntáistí, there's plenty or there's lots of advantages.
Tá go leor buntáistí ban leis an yoga.
Bansa leis an yoga, and this throws a lot of people off, guys. I know a lot of people struggle with the verb buin. So when it's used with le, it's always going to mean associated with or connected to. Okay, ruddy ag buin slash on sport, things connected to sport, for example. So what do we have here?
Ionál. Lift the heart and the chest. Tá go leor buntáistí ban leis an yoga.
Tá go leor buntáistí bansa leis an yoga. So bansa is the verb adjective, so associated with basically. So there's a lot of advantages associated with or connected with or just to do with whatever we have after. Yoga. Okay, so there's a lot of basically benefits or advantages associated with yoga.
Go híh an charp agus an intin
Ó híh an curp agus an intin. So ó híh, as we've had before, or ó híh as it also could be pronounced. Again, it's in terms of, essentially. Okay? So ó híh argid je money-wise, or in terms of money. In this case, ó híh an curp, basically from the side or from the point of view of the body. In other words, in terms of the body. Again, inchin for the mind. So in terms of the body and in terms of the mind.
Tá go leor buntáistí ban session yoga híh an charp agus an intin agus an anam.
Agus an anam and the soul.
Ládrian an yoga charps.
Ládrian on yoga herps. So the yoga basically strengthens, again going back to lodger for strong, so it strengthens bodies.
Híh an charp agus an intin agus an anam. Ládrian an yoga charps ó híh sa lúpacht.
Ó híh sa lúpacht, so again going back to that word lúpacht, flexibility, and again ó híh in terms of, so it strengthens bodies in terms of flexibility.
Charps ó híh sa lúpacht agus ládracht ó híh na matán.
Agus ládracht ó híh na matán, the muscles. So again, basically strengthens strength in terms of relating to muscles.
Ach freisin ládracht ó híh an
Ach freisin ládracht ó híh, so again same thing, but also strength. So you see, you know, coming from ládr, we've ládrian, we have it as the verb, we have it as, let's say, ládracht, strength itself. So kind of just knowing one word there, the adjective, you can figure out so much from there, and that's why it's key to always get your vocabulary up, because one word might unlock 5 or 6 different words for you, or the adjective might unlock the verb for you, for example.
ach freisin ládracht ó híh an intin.
An intin, so, but also strength in terms of strength of the mind.
Agus an anam.
Agus an anam and the soul. And the soul. Okay, A-N-A-M as opposed to A-I-N-M.
Both hands above head. So I could be in where this.
Stoi, Korean rud is tavakti, I think it's coming up.
So I could be in where this tawachti.
Okay, so a lot going on there. Istoi, so istoi is I guess or reckon, essentially. So istoi, basically good chance to reckon. Korean rud is tavakti, that the most important thing is. So remember, on rud, the thing, on rud tavaktuk, the important thing, on rud is tavakti, always with the nis and the is, we need to change so it ends with a vowel. Any of the adjectives that already end on ACH, such as ganohuk, for example, will change to end on AI fada after the nis and the is. So tavatuk, but nis tavakti, more important, is tavakti, most important. Stoigeray on rud is tavakti. I guess the most important thing is.
So I could be in where this tawachti, if we know Kodsha.
If we know Kodsha about this event, essentially, Okaj means occasion, but often can be used for, let's say, event as well.
If we know Kodsha, go in spas, agan event and more if we know.
Go on spas, agan event and more if we know. That we have the space, go on spas, agan event, to be a more if we know is basically how we say out in the fresh air. Okay, a more if we know, to be out under the air. In the same way, we'd often say fuin green, to be out in the sun, to be under the sun.
Go in spas, agan event and more if we know, so dulra.
So dulra in nature. It's another, or dulra for nature. So the good thing is basically that we're out here in the fresh air, and that we can be out here in the fresh air, out in nature.
Air, so dulra. Agus is session to
It's jeshin okay, so that's squeezed in a bit. It's jeshin okay, it's a great opportunity.
Agus is session to chun na hasna show usad.
Chun na hasna show usad. So osh is going to mean it's a good word in English, amenity, essentially. So resource, facility, amenity. So oshna, and then because we have the na there, we need to split the vowels. So essentially, any noun that begins with a vowel in the plural with the definite article will always have a h, because na always ends with a vowel, obviously ends with a, so we need to split the vowels. So na hihinta, the nights, na hashna, the amenities, na hashna shall usage, to use these amenities.
Na hasna show usad.
Okay, and that is that. So a lot in there, guys, but hopefully, again, especially if you're used to me speaking, I'm not saying I speak exactly like the 3 girls we've listened to, everyone speaks differently, but it's more along these kind of lines. Okay, so let's just go back and listen to this full clip one more time.
So is stíl fuile an stíl vinyasa yoga bíon glúiseachtaí agus an anál gobar le chéile. So is cinál daus in áide leis an glúiseacht agus an anál. Lift the heart and the chest. Tá go leor buntáistí ban session yoga híh an charp agus an intin agus an anam. Ládrian an yoga charps ó híh sa lúpacht agus ládracht ó híh na matán ach freisin láidirach do híhann an intin agus an anam. Both hands above head. So I go bin an rud is táhachtaí faoin ócáid seo, gohfuil an spás agan a bheith amá faoin air sa dúlra agus is seisiintach é chun na háisina seo úsáid chun yoga agus achtarí mar seo sníomhíochtaí mar.
Okay, great stuff. I even left it on a bit longer at the end there so you can hear more of what's going on afterwards, and you might want to listen to the full clip, guys, or the full show. And again, the link will be down below. A really good resource. You know, pretty much everything is in Irish. It's not one of the TG Gahar shows where there's much English in it at all, and again, it's Cusharga Irish for the most part, so maybe a bit easier and a good way of practicing Connacht Irish as well. So that is that, guys. Nothing more for today. Mars Connacht, Matayin Keshtanagif. If you guys have any questions, just be at RÍOMHPHOST. This episode is actually going out for free on YouTube, so again, if you're listening to this, we release one Éist Arís probably every 2 or 3 weeks or so on the membership, but we've archived now 26 or 27 episodes just like this. Basically, a load of different speakers from a load of different podcasts and videos. Good kind of broad range. And there's loads of other stuff, obviously, there on the membership. Éist and Arís and liam.learnirishonline and topic breakdowns and different things. So if you want to start a free trial over there, all the links are down below anyway. And I'm sure I've spoken about it at the start of the YouTube version going out. Anyway. So, Sinead, guys, Gurmi the Magi, Pam Jarash, Le Kunajay, Gahan Lua, Le Nismo, Éist Arís, Arinos, Slán, Agus, Baruch.